Well, welcome back to another episode of Red Tinted Glasses. This is what you get for wishing the international breakaway and wanting club football back. Unfortunately, things didn't go to plan today as Aberdeen go down 2-0 away to Motherwell. We'll get into the game shortly, but I'm delighted to be joined on Red Tinted Glasses today by Stephen Cooper. Stephen, welcome to the show.
Hi, Glen.
It's brilliant to get you along. Obviously, Calum is partying up at Transmit at the weekend just now in Glasgow. Before we get into the game today, Stephen, I want to get your thoughts on what has been quite a highly dubious topic in Scottish football this week. It's going to be the introduction of vaccine passports coming in October. What's your initial thoughts on the introduction of vaccine passports in football?
I personally don't like it. As someone that is double jabbed, it won't affect my life in any way. Mm-hmm. But there's people out there that just don't want to get this vaccine. Which, again, who am I to tell them you must get this? I'd like people to get it. I'd like normality back. But to force somebody to go into the doctors and get a needle to go watch Aberdeen play St Mirren just sounds a bit daft to me. Yeah. But again, I'm not totally against them. I'm not totally for them. I just don't think it's right.
No, I kind of share the same opinion as you. I'm like you as well, double vaccinated, and I don't think it's fair that people are being forced into a decision on whether or not they should or shouldn't get the vaccine. It's not entirely right. And I think just now, okay, we're seeing a spike in cases, but a lot of the people that I personally know that are, catching COVID just now are also double vaccinated. So just because you're only going to be, from October, only allowing people into, events of more than 10,000 people that are double vaccinated doesn't necessarily mean that they may or may not have COVID. There's a lot of arguments on why do we not bring back the mandatory requirement for lateral flow tests? Would you be more inclined or more in favour of something like that instead?
It takes 20 seconds to stick the swab up your nose and make sure you're protecting the person next to you. Again, we're young, we're fit enough. Doesn't really affect us going to pathology, but if you want to protect the old man next to you, the old woman sitting next to pathology, I'll easily stick the thing up my nose for 20 seconds to make everyone happy.
Yeah, I mean, it's something that I still do as a precaution, just because I've been not feeling well myself recently, but just wanting to make sure that heads don't turn when you're coughing in the stands, and your own peace of mind as well. Really, it's going to be interesting to see how this topic kind of rumbles on, given that the first game Aberdeen face in October is that game against Celtic when they come to town. Obviously, only people that are double jabbed will be allowed entry, and I think it's I've seen people inquiring about refunds. Do you think the club, could they qualify folk for refunds through that?
Again, we know Aberdeen are sometimes out of touch with things like that, so I can't see any refunds being handed out. But I bet there will be folk that kick up to get their refunds.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and I think they're more than entitled to, because they're being, folk might disagree with this, but they are being discriminated against from October onwards. Well, that's the controversial topic out the way. The next big topic is obviously it's another defeat, well, the first defeat of the season in the league, as Aberdeen went down 2-0 to Motherwell today. Marley Watkins and Jack McKenzie returned to the starting 11, with Austin Samuels missing out through injury and Dean Campbell dropping down to the bench. Were you disappointed to see Samuels be injured? Because we really did miss his pace.
Yeah, I
today.
like him. He seems exciting. He seems raw. He seems to get the ball and just want to run at people, which we missed. I think that's what we missed today. The young guys only played, 1-2 games, and we missed them.
Yeah, definitely. And then David Bates signed as a centre half in the transfer window, not obviously coming on when Calvin Ramsey limped off. Were you surprised to see him just start on the bench?
Nah, I think it's quite well documented. He wasn't match fit. I think he played a behind closed doors game once, but he hasn't played in a while, so fair. Once we get 2 centre halves fit, match fit, we should be okay. Hope we're okay.
Yeah, and I suppose the worry is where's he going to get this match fitness from? between now and next weekend against Johnstone? Is there bounce games he can play in, or is it just going to be a case of working hard and training to
I
get
don't know.
that
I don't
fitness
know
up?
if the 20s are playing or the 23s, whatever they're called these days, are playing midweek, or how he's going to do it. But he needs to do it fast, however he does it.
Yeah, definitely. But the game started well from an Aberdeen point of view. We were well on top, moved the ball nicely, but in similar vein to what we came up against Ross County, for all our good work, we couldn't get anybody on the end of the crosses into the box.
I don't want to slate the guy, he's just in the door, but I'm not convinced on Ramirez. I don't know what it is, I don't know why it is, because he's putting the ball in the net, but I'm just not convinced by him. If that ball falls to Rooney, that chance is today, we scored a goal. And Ramirez, I don't know if it's because he's exciting, he's got the Latin swagger, I don't know what it is, but you just want him to be good, but I don't know if he really is.
I think he really struggles as a lone striker.
Yeah, definitely.
He definitely seems to be somebody that thrives off support, and you could see at times he's trying fancy flicks and then wants to spin and get himself into position, but unfortunately, again, he's obviously started with Marley Watkins today. They're not on each other's wavelengths, but you saw that with Jack McKenzie firing in a great ball. Unfortunately, Ojo and Ramirez couldn't get on the end of it. Goes to the other wing, and Calvin Ramsey throws in an absolutely delicious ball for Marley Watkins. I don't know about you, but I thought he should be scoring that, and he puts his header straight at Liam Kelly.
He should be throwing anything at it to get in there. He should be shooting. If it goes out off his shoulder or his knee, you just need to throw your whole 6'2" of him at the ball.
Yeah, it's one of those unfortunate ones that I definitely think he should have done better. And I think there was also another example in the first half when Ramsey put in another great ball into the box, and Ramirez, I think he was a bit kind of hesitant.
He seemed a bit scared. He seemed a bit.
I wasn't sure. I think it was Devlin on Co-Com said I think he was maybe hoping the defender was gonna miss the ball, but
he's not that good to anticipate a defender missing it.
But I think as you're wanting your strikers to have that aggression and be challenging for the ball, not hoping for a mistake.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely.
And I think when you look at the other end of the pitch, when we find ourselves going 1-0 down, that's the difference, because Joe Lewis, whose distribution was quite questionable through the first half, I think it's fair to say. I know you've got your opinions on that, but Motherwell capitalising on a poor clearance from Joe Lewis and really breaking on us at speed, and Kane Woolery, who caused us no end problem with his pace, put in a great ball. But defensively, questions have got to be asked on Aberdeen as Kevin Van Veen heads home to make it 1-0.
Yeah, I don't know who lost their man. I think it might have been the young guy, Ramsey. Mm-hmm. But you're taught from a young age, you don't let your man go. I mean, the guy's young, he's inexperienced. He'll learn from it, hopefully. But his boy's just standing there, put it in, is he?
Yeah, it's a shame, because for all that he's good going forward, he's maybe still got a little bit to learn defensively. And I think
still a kid. He's exciting though. He is exciting.
Yeah, and
for a while we've had a young fullback bursting through.
Definitely, and Van Veen's got plenty of experience from the lower leagues in England, and he obviously showed the dirty side of his game, but he also showed the quality that and it looks like Gogsy in our preview said on his day can be a quality signing. Today he seemed to be very much on his day and proved to be. But question marks obviously defensively from an Aberdeen point of view. What did you make of Joe Lewis's first half performance?
Because for me, he's just a different man. He's went from being arguably the best goalkeeper in the country to maybe not even the best goalkeeper at the club. I think it's a big thing for Glass now. He needs to maybe show if he's got a set of balls, does he drop his goalkeeper and his club captain or whatever he is in these days? Even just to give him a psychological rest, because he must know. I'm no body language expert, but you can see he's not as confident in his as he has been. So I'm not going to sit here and slate the guy. He's been our best keeper we've had in years, but I think he maybe just needs the guy Woods to come in and maybe get on the team. Because what does he need to do? What can he do?
Yeah, I know some people will maybe think we're being a bit lazy or a bit harsh in criticising Joe Lewis today, but I thought a lot of his distribution, he was just punting balls towards the sideline that were going out, or I'm just nervous when he's in possession now. I don't think he's a keeper that suits this kind of game that we're playing with passing it out from the back. and we're passing the ball across the face of goal, and Joe Lewis is running onto it, and I'm just like, where's this going to go? And if fans aren't got confidence in their keeper, what are the defense going to have?
Yeah,
I mean, you've played as a keeper yourself.
Yeah,
I'm not saying you're obviously up to Joe Lewis's standard. I'm not saying you constantly have howlers, but you must know as a keeper yourself if you're performing well.
Keepers aren't built right, and everyone knows that. And if something goes in his head, then you're rattled. I'm not joking you. I played before COVID for a team, New Deer, out in the Farmers League in Peterhead, and we played at Balmoor one night against Peterhead United or something. I don't know what happened, but there was 3 minutes gone. Boy takes a daisy cutter at me, and I thought I was in line on my front post. I was actually in the back post. I thought that's what I threw my hands out and it trickled in. Your head just goes, like your head goes. Like I was trying to walk off a half time and everything. Your head just goes, and I don't know if his head's gone because he has had a few howlers. If you put your first 3 goal kicks in the dugout, you're going to be rattled.
No, absolutely, and I think there is a little bit of he's unsure just now, and I think for me as well, there's maybe that nervousness because we've seen it as fans in the centre back pairing. So if he's expecting a mistake, I don't know, there's something just not right. But up at the other end of the pitch, we definitely tested Kelly in terms of getting the ball on target. I think it was 14 shots on target, but the problem was all the shots seemed to be right at him. So it was really just catching practice for him in terms of testing him.
It's a weird one. It just seems to be nobody clinical. Like there's nobody you would put money on to score 20 goals this season in that team. Which is weird because the amount of money we spend and the wages they're paying. And I know it's an easy cop-out to say Griffiths because we don't know where he's at. But this and that team, the old Griffiths, is scoring goals.
Yeah.
It's an easy one to pick out. But if you're feeding a Griffiths or a Nisbet or even a Boyle that chances today, they're going in the net.
Yeah, and I suppose though, like there's an argument about how well we're playing. We're playing nice football, but someone was saying to me on Twitter, "Is it nice? Because it's obviously an attacking brand of football, but is it dull and boring because we're not scoring goals?"
Yeah, I think the worst thing that happened to Aberdeen this season was cuffing that Swedish lot 5-1. It looked like Brazil, and then everyone's including myself. You're just like, wow, this is it. We're going to win the treble, and then reality hits in.
Yeah, and I suppose for me the frustration is as good as you look, you've got to be able to put the ball in the net. But my argument was for all of what Stephen Glass does, and he puts the team. He's set the team out. It's not his fault that the players aren't scoring. Are we needing somebody on that pitch to step up and be that clinical person in front of goal?
We need, and I know it's not Football Manager, I know it's not how the world works, but you feel like you need a 33-year-old striker that's scored 15, 20 goals a season in League 1, League 2. Just Cosgrove would have got a couple today. That's saying something. I don't think he's kicked a ball since he left Aberdeen.
Well, he's been playing for Shrewsbury. He did actually score today. So
again, did he score again?
Yeah.
It's a weird one because you've got exciting strikers. The Jet, when he gets it, he's not a striker, but when he gets the ball, he's got nifty feet, and he gets you on your feet. But he just wants to put the ball in the net.
It's the same. Even I thought Watkins actually looked good today. Had a couple of chances we touched on there. The header that I personally feel he should have scored with. Chance in the second half that he shot straight at Liam Kelly, but he didn't look to me like he was playing as a striker today.
I don't think Glass knows what he's doing yet, like because he's chopped and changed it, and he's obviously got Hedges and Samuel will come back, so that's going to change it again because he's going to win the two of them out wide and the one through the middle.
Yeah, and I think it showed. You touched on there about. We missed Samuels today. We missed his pace. Stephen Glass saying he's hopeful that he'll be back for next week against Johnstone. But what did you make of our midfield today? Because there's been a lot of criticism aimed at how many midfielders we had and kind of the way they all played.
And with all due respect to Motherwell, do you need 3 holding midfielders against Motherwell? Obviously, Ferguson's probably the more want to pick up the ball and drive there, but he hasn't been. I think his head's gone as well. I think he's watching himself for his big move in January. Not saying he's down in tools, but he's not the same player, is he?
Well, I think for me, it's a bit, and we'll come on to it, but the second goal, he doesn't exactly cover himself in glory on.
I just don't think you need the three holding midfielders. Longstaff's been in the Premier League. He's obviously good enough. Scott Brown. Do you need the three of them? I don't know. Maybe put somebody at the top or pivot. I don't know. But it's up to Glass.
And on my Longstaff, what did you make of his performance today? Because I'm not quite convinced he's up to the pace of Scottish football yet.
He'll get there, I think. I don't think he's used to tackles flying in and boys thrown about, because obviously all his games are put on carpets in front of 50,000 match of the day, and he comes to Motherwell and the guys just winding him up, and he'll get used to it. I'm sure Scott Brown will get him used to it.
Yeah, well, and hopefully quick. Kim Van Veen, obviously we said, he showed his skill and quality, putting Motherwell 1-0 up. A few niggly fouls after picking up a booking. Do you think he was lucky to still be on the pitch in the first half, or is it?
You're going to watch him off. You're watching that as an Aberdeen fan. You're watching him off. But if that's Scott Brown and Celtic top, we're all screaming for him to get sent off.
Yeah.
If that's one of he could have went. He probably should have went, but I don't think it was a referee howler not to send him off. But he could have went.
I think it's one of those that when he's obviously playing for the home team as well, it's maybe a decision that goes in their favour. If it was up Tawdry, maybe goes the other way. But he certainly put in a good performance in the second half. It was him that ultimately provided the assist for the second. Another really poor goal from an Aberdeen point of view. We don't stop the cross. Jack McKenzie, I think it was, not getting out to it quick enough, and then Ferguson was really, for me, bullied at the back post. And 2-0 down. Rob McLean thinks it's salvageable, but I don't know what he was watching at that point to think we were anywhere near looking like scoring one, let alone two today.
Nah, not at all. I don't know where he got that from, but maybe he was still watching the first half.
but disappointing again to concede in that manner. And Stephen Glass come out and said it is disappointing, but I was kind of looking at some of the stats. It's 20 games Stephen Glass has played. 19 of those games we've conceded in. It's pretty alarming. That's a pretty alarming stat.
Yeah, that's amateur stuff.
And I think as
sheet.
Yeah, and especially when we're conceding in the manner that we're conceding, it seems very schoolboy.
It seems toothless. It seems as if it's like I watched a clip of Neil Warnock this morning when he's like, you need to get 3 points. There's not one of them putting their body in the line.
No.
It's a strange one. That should be drilled into them from the manager. That comes from him. They should want to throw their whatever in front of that ball to stop it going in. But
yeah, and at that point, 2-0 down, you hope to see a reaction, but it was Motherwell that seemed to continue to put their foot on the throat of Aberdeen, because Van Veen had a cross that very nearly made a fool of Joe Lewis, but he palmed it back out, and I think Ferguson denied, I'm not sure who it was, from making it 3. But Kane Woolery flashing a ball across the face of goal that nobody got on the end of. So it was 2 going on about 4 or 5 at one stage.
The scary thing is Motherwell weren't good. I think they disrupted Aberdeen with niggly fouls. I think Tony Watt was just a constant pain in the arse. And if you're 2-0 down, he's running about, and they won the game. That's how they won the game. We can't sit there and say, "Oh, Motherwell turned up a game plan and stuck with them." 25% possession. They won 2-0.
And the thing is, they only had 2 shots on target as well.
Yep, but they go home with 3 points up the road.
Difference being they were clinical and we weren't, and it's we saw it against Ross County. We created plenty of chances. We only came away with 1 point. No wins in 6 for Aberdeen now. We talked previously on this show a couple of episodes back about, is the honeymoon period over? I think it's well and truly over now. But is pressure on Stephen Glass to get a result next week? People are already looking ahead to October and how, on the back of obviously 6 without a win, of how tough October currently looks. Is there a pressure on Glass and the team to go out and make sure we're going into October with 6 from 6?
They're going in with a lot less points than they should be. I wouldn't say there's pressure on Glass yet, but it's coming. there'll always be sections of sport. We know what like we are.
Yeah.
But I think he just needs. I wouldn't say he's at his depth, but he's a B team manager. He's been thrown into one of the biggest jobs in the country. Is he struggling with it? Yeah, it's why are the players not? Why is Lewis Ferguson not throwing his ball in line for him? Why are the players not all running around like Motherwell were today? So I don't know, but it's a big month coming up. Obviously the bigger teams playing us.
Yeah, and I suppose what can be done at the top end of the pitch. Is it a case of working on the training ground?
You'd like to think professional footballers, strikers, spend 75% of their week putting the ball in the net. It's what they do. It's what I imagine the strikers and the goalkeepers do all week. Maybe it's a confidence thing, I don't know. The boy Ramirez, when you watch him the first 3 or 4 games, he ran about and he chased everything, and then today he didn't. It was just a bit. Everything was just a bit weird.
I felt that he was getting quite frustrated because I think the chance that Watkins had at the start of the second half, where he shot at Liam Kelly, he was screaming for the ball to be squared to him, but I'm not even sure if that was an option. And even right at the death, I think it was Conor McLennan broke into the box and tried to square it, but Liam Kelly saved, and he just looked a really frustrated figure. It's maybe just been one of those days for him. But as much as we speak about putting the ball in the net, we really have to improve on just this one clean sheet that we've kept competitively.
Definitely, and it seems to be caused by a lot of set pieces. It was two free kicks today.
The second one came from a free kick, but the first one was obviously them counter-attacking from a poor clearance, so we were a bit out of joint. But
it seems to concede an awful lot of goals from set pieces.
Well, it's balls into the box that seem to be causing us problems, which is quite concerning with Declan Gallagher in there at centre half. I'm reluctant to blame Ross McCrory on that point because he's not a centre back from a trade, so we need to see Bates coming in there. But what can we do? Because I thought Woolery gave Mackenzie quite a torrid time today, as well as he tried. I think once he got booked early in the first half, he was a bit up against it to make another challenge.
Once we get the two strapping centre halves in fully fit, you'd like to think they would win 90% of the headers. That's what you want. You want two big gonks at the back that would header a goalpost for you, and that two hopefully are the two. But then if one of them gets injured, then we're back to Ross McCrory at centre half again.
Yeah, exactly, and that's the point. We're still quite thin on the ground, especially when our other centre half's sitting in the commentary box next to Rob McLean, with no idea when he's going to be back. We've said it's no wins in 6, but looking at our away form, we've only won 2 out of 7 away from home this season. Obviously, Livingston was the 90th minute, thanks to their keeper throwing it in the back of the net, and then away to Breidablik, which we were kind of in command at 2-0 and kind of had to work hard for a 3-2 win in the end. Am I reading too much into it that we're struggling away from home, or is that an area of concern that we're not performing away from home compared to what we've been doing at home?
Aberdeen, they're just a strange team. I don't think it should matter, especially when they've just played a year with no sport. Unless you're going to Ibrox or Parkhead, I honestly don't think it makes a difference. I prefer playing away from home with amateurs and that. Just everyone's different. It's laid back, but obviously it's different in a professional capacity. But I don't think it should. I honestly don't think it should matter. I know that's a cliche, but I honestly don't think it should matter at that level, especially Aberdeen Motherwell.
Yeah, and I think, let's be honest, the Motherwell boys over in Section E, sung their heart out today. I think really showed up the red shed for what the red shed really should be like, compared to what Motherwell are doing on a much smaller basis. But it's not as an intimidating atmosphere as you said that Parkhead or Ibrox would certainly offer up our players, but we've not been performing at our best away from home, and always, apart from the game over in Iceland, and Wraith, I think it is this season, we've always gone behind away from home first. So again, are we being a bit tactically naive? One of my friends was saying, Glass is actually, we're too open, because we're still trying to play that attacking brand of football. Should there be a bit more tactical awareness away from home.
Maybe a bit more conservative away from home. He's just trying to play this new, exciting, attacking brand of football. But again, he's as much a new manager as we are a new team. This is his first proper gig. He's a B team manager. He's always had somebody above him. Let's be honest, B team football doesn't matter. Because as soon as you get a good player, the A team take him.
Yeah.
As much as I think he's doing all right just now or plodding away, I do think it was a wrong appointment. But he's done it now. He's been heavily backed.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. The thing is, whether you think it's the right or wrong appointment, you can't argue that Cormac's gone out and then backed him. Longstaff, signing a player on loan from Newcastle, paying for Ramirez. You've got Jet coming in, Bates as well, who I'm sure wasn't on cheap wages over in Hamburg. There has been investment going into the squad, so I think though the fans will have patience up to a certain extent, but when we're seeing these levels of kind of frustrating performances where we're creating chances but not taking them and conceding sloppy goals, we need to see some sort of response, and really need to see that on Saturday against St Johnstone. But for me, it's probably the least ideal opponents to face.
No, we lose, we got a clean sheet. 0-0 St Johnstone. There we go.
Yeah, well, I mean, St Johnstone obviously losing 2-1 to Rangers today, but they're renowned for being defensively sound. So, and in the last two games, Aberdeen have struggled to break teams down. Only scored once in the league in the last two games, but creating chances. Do you see us being able to improve on that against St Johnstone?
I hope so. I think St Johnstone will miss the two guys who lost that. I don't know who sanctioned that, but that could be their Armstrong GMS moment. But you just hope that obviously they create so many chances. You just hope somebody's going to get a scudding soon. You just hope they're going to go 3 or 4 past somebody, and that'll be the way they go. But it's still early. It's still early days. I still think we'll finish third. I don't know why he sacked off the League Cup, but
it's done now. But I think third actually guarantees group stage football in Europe, so a huge incentive for this team. And with the strong start that both Hibs and Hearts have made, we can't really afford to continue to lose ground over either the Edinburgh clubs, because Rangers have already started to pull clear of us. Celtic will do the same as well. So there is reason that we need to start getting points back. But I do agree it's maybe too early to hit that panic button, and I'm trying not to overreact to today's defeat. It is obviously the first league defeat, but watching this St Johnstone game today, the way they kind of played the ball in behind and kind of exposed Philip Hallander, and certainly Michael O'Halloran was using his pace. We saw Motherwell use that very effectively today, and especially catching us on the counter. St Johnstone could maybe use that to their advantage next week, do you reckon? Well,
when the St Johnstone boy watches the DVD of today's game, that'll be his game plan again. They'll just try it. They'll try and mix it up. They'll try and wind them up. They'll play the hammer throwing game, whatever, because we can't seem to deal with that. I don't know why, but we don't seem to like it, and our fans get upset about it. But at the end of the day, it wins games. We've got Scott Brown. He's the master of it. He invented it.
Yeah, and I think the problem is as well is when teams are exploiting it week in, week out, and we're not. Well, for us as fans, it seems like we're not doing anything to remedy that. Teams are going to continue to exploit it at will.
Yep, definitely, yeah.
And you said again, with no disrespect to being a Motherwell, we've yet to come up against Hibs, who look free flowing in attack, and we've yet to come up against Rangers and Celtic. God knows what they could do to what is looking a very fragile defence.
Yeah, definitely, especially with Celtic until today being team 6-0, and that's not what we need.
Yeah, they're like us creating chances at will, but unfortunately they're being a lot more clinical. We also spoke there about obviously the conceding of goals in Stephen Glass's 20 games so far. We have conceded 30 goals. There was a lot of talk about when he came in from Atlanta, his Atlanta B team conceded at will, but obviously they also did like to score a lot. do you think this is just going to be kind of a blueprint for the season? The fact that we will continue to concede, but aim to, as Calum said many times on this podcast, just if you score 1, we score 2. If you score 2, we'll try and score 3.
I think we'll take it if we win 4-3 every week. But we're not taking a chance and losing 2-0.
Yeah, but
I don't know. I think it's a risky philosophy, especially in your first real gig, to go try and outscore teams, especially when Aberdeen aren't renowned for battering teams. We're 1-0, 2-1 merchants.
No, but I suppose, as Lewis Walker said on the podcast after the Ross County game, should we actually be encouraged by the fact that even though the results might not be coming yet, it certainly looks like they can, because we are, unlike under McInnes, certainly in the last season, we're certainly creating loads more chances.
I think obviously on paper it goes down as a 2-0 defeat, but the 2-0 defeat today was a lot different to a 2-0 defeat last season under McInnes. That was your 1 chances, 1 corner. Today with 14 shots and 6 corners. So there's obviously positives to take from a 2-0 defeat, which we couldn't have said that under McInnes.
But it even feels weird saying that there's positives to take from a 2-0 defeat, but it's a sign of hopefully things to come. And it's going to be another week. We spoke about how in the preview show about them having time on the training ground, obviously kind of slightly disrupted with the international break. So it'll be interesting to see how they act now with a full week, no internationals, no cup competitions, no other distractions. Let's just focus on St Johnstone and hopefully righting some wrongs of the previous results that we've had. Now, just a final point really was obviously on Stephen Glass's post-match press conference comments that he made. He was very much saying it was very disappointing, both ends of the pitch today. There's no complaints with the result. Can't look to blame the referee, because I think, he was asked about should Motherwell have been maybe down to 10 men given some of the niggly fouls. So you can't sort of blame sort of that sort of stuff when you can't take your chances, because regardless, with them having 11 men, we created way more chances. People are now saying it's all well and good talking the talk. We need to see that on the pitch. But for me, I still think as good a game as he's talking, it's up to the players, though, to respond to what he's saying. It's not his. He can't.
That's basically. That's when the alarm bells ring. You think, has he got the players' respect? He's coming in there. I keep calling it about a B team manager, and he's got players like the Jet, who was at Arsenal for years under Wenger. You've got Scott Brown, who's won everything there is to win. You've got boys like Ramirez coming over from the MLS. And they're looking at this guy going, what I mean? He's getting booked every week. Is that a substitute for him? Shit, I'll just look excited on the sidelines or shouting. I think he's been booked every game.
Yeah, I think maybe bar 1, but I was going to say, well, he got booked, and apparently Alan Russell got sent off after full time. After the full time or something. I'm not sure if that is confirmed or not. I think it was mentioned on the radio. I turned off in injury time on the stream because I'd had enough. So I didn't see the red card get brandished. But is that, someone said, is there kind of unprofessionalism? If they can't be professional on the sideline or show the right mentality, does that kind of make its way into the players?
I don't know, because I run amateur teams. I've run 3 or 4 amateur teams, and I get excited in the touchline. And then the players shout off something like, well, we can't concentrate, you're all arguing in the touchline. It's like, how is you heading a football or marking your man at a corner affecting me calling the left back a dick? I even less at a professional level, where it's just going to be arguing over a throw-in.
Well, I mean, even the yellow card that Glass picks up today, I think, is just quite laughable, because it's when Van Veen's coming off.
And he's 2-0 down. Yeah.
We're 2-0 down, he's coming off, and I think, Rob McLean's saying, well, the point was he was making that he shouldn't have been on the pitch in the first place. Well, the problem was that's fine, that's in the past. He was on, and he's gone on to influence the game. What are you doing complaining about it when he's coming off 2-0 down? Try and influence the game. Yeah. It's showing passion. Yes, you're showing the passion on the touchline, but we need to see that on the pitch. But, it's currently the argument in my mentions on Twitter is, whose fault is that? Is that Stephen Glass's fault? Is he setting the team up with too many midfielders? But I think we definitely did miss the pace and creativity that both Samuels and Hedges bring. It doesn't sound from what Stephen Glass said that Hedges will be back next week, but he is hopeful that Austin Samuels will be. Who would you sacrifice from that midfield for Austin Samuels if he is fit to return?
Going by today, probably Ferguson.
Okay, it's a big call, might be.
But I don't know if his head's in it, I don't know if his heart's in it. You see his dad mumping every week on that open goal. Everyone knows the way he needs to get his tax credit sorted out because he's apparently on £25 a week or something. But I just don't know. I just don't know if his head's on there.
Yeah, so you think though, like obviously bringing in a player like Matty Longstaff, he's not going to drop someone like Scott Brown.
No.
You think it would be someone like Ferguson instead?
I just don't think you need the three of them. Obviously, you don't want to go play 6 strikers, but I don't think you need the 3 of them.
Yeah, because I've seen folk as well saying that, Ojo kind of slowed things down in midfield today. He was a bit too indecisive getting the ball out trams. I think it's a bit harsh.
He seems a bit scared to take a shot at goal, Ojo. But
I think it's because he knows he's going to get criticism on Twitter because he can't finish.
Total different player from what they sent out on loan. But again, who do you blame for that? Do you just think Ojo had a poor start, or was it McInnes' ball? But we are creating. We've also got problems, but you could maybe view them as positive problems where we've got a big squad and who do you play in? But Stephen Glass has got to learn quick and find the right formula, because as you said, it was all looking rosy when Hacken came to town and we won 5-1, but that seems a lifetime away. Looking at the game now, but you said it's maybe a bit early to for Stephen Glass to be under pressure. Just looking ahead to next week, if we didn't get a positive result, say we don't win the game, how much more do you think the pressure would build on Stephen Glass? Knowing Aberdeen Football Club builds very quickly. So yeah, he's up, but the confidence comes from above because he's a 12-month contract.
Well, that's the thing as well. So obviously there's been a lot talked about with his relationship with the chairman. If things continue on a downward trend, obviously this is just all hypothetical at this stage. We're not wishing this on Stephen Glass. Do you think Cormac would just let him see out the season? Because obviously he's trying to build his own team, as you've touched on, and we're trying to build a different philosophy to what some of these players have been used to. So, okay, the results, we're getting frustrated at the results, we're getting frustrated as not taking chances. Do we need to think about the bigger picture that the club are trying to install?
I think so, and I've got this mad vision in my head that Scott Brown is the next Aberdeen manager. Don't know why. I've just got that feeling that
you've been drinking tonight.
Very soon.
No, well, I mean, he could be getting moulded in that sense as well. But interesting to see how things develop over the course of the next 7 days, leading up into that St Johnstone game. A big game, I think, for Aberdeen, just to get some confidence back. Strikers. Okay, Ramirez did score against Ross County, but I think going into what we've touched on there is a tough run of fixtures coming up. Celtic before the international break and then a tough run after. We really need, for fans, I think, going to these games, but players as well. It's all about having a bit of positivity, a bit of confidence, because, you'll know yourself as well, playing a lot of football, winning or positivity breeds that different mentality going into the next game. And I think players they're currently trying to right the wrongs of previous weeks, but it's almost like we're trying too hard.
Yeah, definitely. I think a win, as I'm saying, I think a 1 win, we'll see a change. I think as soon as we get the first one in 7 or something, I think the whole thing changed. I hope this doesn't go on a rot 13, 14 games, because then it could be in big trouble.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is as well, like I said, probably St Johnstone is probably the one team that seemed to always have our number in recent seasons. It's probably a team you don't want to come up against when you're on a poor run of form. But right now you take a scrappy 1-0. But then, as I seen someone say on Twitter today, it says, "Since when do we keep clean sheets just now?"
Yeah,
so
exactly. Yeah.
And I think this is the biggest problem right now for all that we're creating. If we're not scoring but conceding, we're really setting ourselves up that we're going to have to score 2 goals a game to start even thinking about possibly getting 3 points. So should we be more focused, maybe take a few games, get things right at the back, and then, focus on the front end of the pitch?
I think a lot of the things as well, and maybe the defence has been masked over because how good the 2 young boys are going forward.
Yeah.
They're young, raw lads. It'll hopefully come with the 2 experienced centre-halves now. It's for, obviously, Mackenzie and Ramsey will play together each, but they're opposite ends of the park.
Mm-hmm.
The 2 older, experienced centre-halves, hopefully that washes off onto the young lads.
Yeah, and especially when, Ramsey was probably our best attacking threat for large parts of the day, and he obviously limped off injured. Let's hope it's not anything serious, because he's obviously had such a great impact. I'm not sure who would quite fill in at right back.
Oh, Jack.
Yeah, well,
I don't know where he came from. Doesn't really competition, I think.
Yeah, that doesn't really bear thinking about, of him coming based on performances this season. So let's keep our fingers crossed that Calvin's injury isn't bad as first feared. But no, Stephen, it's been great having you on Red Tinted Glasses this evening to go over what was obviously a disappointing result, but surprisingly from my point of view, you seem relatively optimistic on the long term, which is maybe some people might have been surprised at, given your
told you with a banner.
Yeah, but no, it's been a pleasure catching up with you and chatting on what's happened today, and also kind of a little bit ahead to next week as well. So thanks very much for joining me.
No problem, thank you very much.